Hi, Mike. Me again. Okay, so I'm just going to kick this off. Those of you that haven't been on this type of thing before, just to say it's a quick overview of the till system. Try and keep this quite short, overview, but we'll be available. We can do some Q&As at the end of it, but I'll just give a quick run through this as I said, any queries on it. So what I'll do is I'll get a wee couple of minutes just to see if anyone else joins, because I've got some others registered. Get a wee 2 minutes. All right. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just start off. As I said, anybody any queries, you can give me a shout during the presentation, or as I said, we'll certainly be available to go over some stuff at the end. Some people still coming. Okay, so I'm just going to just share my screen and just see if everyone can see my screen okay. Yep. Okay, so that's fine. So basically, if I go back, so basically on the till system here, one thing just to show you, obviously, those of you, we've maybe got a mixture of people that are on the new system and people that are on the maybe still on the old system here. So if I go back to the old system just to let you see some of the changes on the new system. Okay. So those of you who remember that the old back office system that comes through basically on the old system. Yep. I'm just going to share my screen here. Basically the old back office system. What we used to have is we used to have what you would call basically revenue streams. And probably the main change in going to the new system is that we have changed slightly to having renamed them slightly. So it's just because obviously a bit of background, we've bought we've not bought this till system on my own Intelligent Golf, but instead of starting from scratch, we've bought an existing cloud-based system into the system. It's been running for about 6 or 7 years with Intelligent Golf. So basically, because we're not from scratch, we've just used the names they had. So the only one of the changes is revenue streams are now called departments, and there's tags for them. Those of you that know groups we used to have, like draft beers and things like that, they're now called divisions. I'd say that's the main sort of changes with the change through. But basically, I'll show you how the till system works. So where we have got a big change, now it's on the cloud, is that you no longer have to go to a separate program to work on the till. So basically, in Club V1, in Club V1, you will have basically your till system inside Club V1, and you now have an EPOS link directly in Club V1 called EPOS. When you click on that, that takes you to the basically till system. Okay, when it loads up, my Wi-Fi is shocking here just now. It's not the system, to be honest. Okay, and basically now it's in Club V1. You'll see in the normal Club V1 banners, etc. You see all your sort of basic reports from today, stuff that's been going on, best selling product, all the basic stuff you see. That's fine. I'll go on about the reporting side a wee bit further on, but I'll just mainly show the part of the till. Main thing with till is you've got is this little settings button here, and this settings button here, when you click on that, basically, those of you that have the old back office system, this is back office, and this is basically where all your products are, basically. And basically in here is where you add, can change or modify any products that you've got on the till. And again, one big advantage is you can access from anywhere. It's not like the old system where you have to be in the clubhouse to do it. You can do this from anywhere that you can access Club V1. But basically, to show you how this works, if I want to add a product, I would click on new product. Now, one wee step before I check that, the handy little tool in the new system it's worth using is you can actually search now for a product. Okay, so you can actually search for a product. That's quite handy, doing a little change, just a little check just to make sure the product's not already in the system. Whereas you had to before decide which revenue stream it was in, what group it was in, was it under draft beers, was it under bottled beers, whatever. It's a handy little check that you don't have the product there already. Therefore, You don't add in like 6 rolls and bacon that clubs have on their old system because someone just adds in another product. Basically though, if I want to add a new product, just click on add new product. Basically it'll come up and basically give me the option to add in a product. Yep. And as I said, you've got divisions here of access, whatever. Now these divisions, as I mentioned earlier, if I click on that, you'll see the normal basic divisions of bags, bottle beers, breakfast, all the normal standard groupings that you will have in a till system. Okay. And if I go one step back, as I mentioned earlier, departments, if I click on the departments here, this is basically where I've got my bar, event, food, green, fees, pro, shops. These are what I mentioned earlier, all revenue streams where you can group things together. And basically, you see the way the system works is on my bar, I've got 9 divisions linked to that. I've got 3 to event, 10 to food. So these are all linked through. Okay. So go back to products. Okay. And what I'll do is rather than starting from scratch, I've got a product in here. So if I look at products here, I've got a JC lager basically here. And what I've done is basically I've got my half pint shandy, pint shandy. And I'll show you why I've put all those items in individually. There's a couple of different reasons for it. There's obviously pricing points. I can do modifiers. I can do different through, but it's just to show you how you can use those further through. But if I look at those pints, I can also as well search on drafts if I just want to look at my bottle beers as well. So there's a lot of search facilities in there. But if let's look at my pint, good thing. What I want to do is I want to change that. I can click on this little editor and basically that comes up with the product. Okay, now as I said, rather than doing from scratch. So I'm going to add a new product. I would simply select as a draft beer. What I'm going to call it, the VAT rate, my selling price. Excuse me. Variable. Now variable, just to explain that, basically is that's where if I tick that in some circumstances, I can put in my own price. And I'll show you how that works with some products further on. That's the old override button where if you have, for example, probably not going to use it for a pint of lager, but if you have like something in the golf shop, or you have, for example, a bottle of wine or something, and you wish the staff to be able to put their own price in. Okay. This little change in the new system that you probably didn't use as much, didn't have in the old system, allow levy. Now what that's for is those of you that do levies and do forfeits is you might have, for example, a £50 levy that the members have to spend in the bar. But say, for example, like Royal Troon did at the Open, they allowed members to buy a special bottle of open whiskey for £60. They allowed you to buy that at the bar, but it didn't go against your levy. So it didn't go against your annual spend at the bar. So if you have something that you want to put, I mean, one of my clubs has got, for example, books. They've got a club book that they sell. Yes, the members can buy it, but it doesn't go against their bar levy. So even though I bought that £60 bottle of whiskey, I still lose my £50 if I don't spend it at bar. So you've got a bit more control over that. Barcodes, you can put barcodes in. You can print them off the printer if you want. If you want to use in the shops, we do have handhelds you can have in the scanners. Color. Changing the system, you can pick multi-colors that you want for the buttons and how they look. Okay, change. We've had a little update last few weeks where you can, if you wish, charge things to different purses. Those of you that run multiple purses, we can do multi-purse top-up. Less and less clubs tend to use multi-charging to different, but we can have that if you wish. Printers, I just go through all these things you want to think about when you're setting things up. Printers, yeah, I've got a kitchen printer, so obviously that's if it's a food item, you want it to print to the kitchen. Okay, a pint of lager, I don't want to print to the kitchen, but just to let you know, if you have multiple, so some clubs have like a coffee machine, you might have a printer over at the coffee machine, and you might decide your coffee goes to that printer, so you can have multiple printers that this product can go to, not just the one, so you can take it through. Active simple means it's active, it's live. And I've got all these settings you probably don't need for a pint of lager here, but it's just to go through them all. Okay. Able to be returned. That's probably more of you that maybe use till systems and pro shops. You can, if you want, set a product, a golf bag or something, that if someone does bring it back, you can set up the system to mark it as returned and it'll go back into stock if you're using stock. These sort of things at the bottom, mobile ordering menu, takeaway menu, etc. They're more linking to the old IG app that they use on iPads. We tend to prefer the mobile mail-in tills because they work more like tills rather than using an app for a better somewhere through them. Tags, just like these tags, I'll show you where these tag come in reporting. Basically, I've just added a tag there to say this is a bar product. Okay. Extras I'll show you now. Extras at the bottom are, if I go back to my different product, let's look at product. Extras more come into a situation when it's food. So I'll look at raw egg. Again, this is great. I can search for things nice and easy. Raw egg. You'll see if I scroll down raw egg, slightly different things through. You see I've got kitchen pair tick for that. You'll see here I've got additions, and what I've basically got is extras. And if I edit those extras, what I've said basically is I've got extra bacon, extra black pudding, extra sausage, basic stuff through. And if I want to add that, you'll see I've got all my products available here, and I've got raw additions, but I can check for what I want through. Okay, and add in again, mess it through. And I'll show you a little thing I've just on that, so I can search my product. If I want extra, I can search for them as well. If I want, how many products are there? I've got them already, so I don't need them. Extra bacon. Okay. And I'll show you a little change here as well where I put extra sausage. You see that option for multiple, and I'll show you where that is an option that's been added in just so you can see how it works. Don't see many clubs using it, but just to show you as an option there. And if I go back to my modifiers, again, slightly different terms from the old one. Basically, this is just where I've actually edited this. I'm putting in, basically it's fried, scrambled, whatever. Just add any option I want. Scrambled, I want whatever, do easy, over easy, whatever. This is where I put bread or whatever. So this would basically class that as non-chargeable options. Okay, so that's right. So basically, I'll go back to my lagger again because it's easy one to keep track of. Got my name correctly. Try to see it. Okay. So if I look at my pint there, yeah. Now the good thing about this is that when you've created this product, so that's, I've just ran through there, but that's basically things you would have in product. Now the other option you've got obviously with the system as well is the stock control. And basically stock control, when I've created a product, I can say I want to look at that as a stock control item. And basically you'll see I've got a JCA pint, selling price the same as the price through, and I've got so on. What that means is when I sell one of these, it takes one out of stock. Now if I go back and show you why I was saying a little bit earlier about the half pints, my half pint and my half pint there. Based on my stock, simple thing is, JC, what it will do if I sell this half pint out of my basically pints of lager, this will take 0.5, will take half out. Okay, so that's just through it. And again, I've got my selling price is 3%. Okay, so that's all basic stuff on there as well. Okay. On this additional page you've got here as well. Sorry, I've got an echo coming. In my echo, you'll see as well, this is where I've got my discount groups. Now you can set them by division, whatever, but this is all my normal groups, what you had before, where you're members and you can have different discount groups, like to get off products, whatever you wish to do. Okay. Now, there's quite a bit to go through and set through on that. Just checking where the echo coming from, sorry. You'll see there's some things going through there, but in this other by the bottom receipts, this is if you want on your kitchen prints, you can have like all your starters print together, have all your mains print together, whatever on the printer. You can change it through. Okay. Now there's quite a lot of settings in there, and it might sound a bit go through it. Sorry, let's see what an echo come. So, what you do though is where the system works quite good though is sorry, I can copy a product. Excuse me 2 seconds, sorry. Sorry, better. What you'll see here is basically 2 seconds, sorry. Let's see if we can just 2 seconds. I'm just going to mic out this headphone over. Let's see if that's better. What you can do is though you can then click as copy product. Sorry, give me 2 minutes here just to see why I've got a really bad echo. Okay, let's try again. Where you do, you can copy the product. So what you do is you click copy product. What that will do is that'll basically copy, give you the option to copy everything you've got there. Okay. And when you copy it, yeah, just copy it. basically it copies all the settings through. So basically I've not copied through, but I might want to say I've got a schooner. I could change whatever. So basically it takes all the settings through. So once you've set one product through, you can just copy it. Now, that doesn't even have to be the same product. I could change that to Bellhaven. I could change it to whatever, but it takes all these settings through from the products you've got through. So it does, once you've got that initial one set, it does put it through all the system through. Okay. So basically adding products as simple as that. Sorry, it's really annoying this. Headphones. See, that's better. Okay. So I'll go back. Yeah, better. So basically your products there. So basically that's where you do the product. Now, probably the biggest step once you put the products in is the layout of your tool. Now, if I click here, basically, this is how the new tool looks. Okay. Basically, I'm back to it. Okay. And basically when I log out, basically, if I log in, I can log in. Now you can log in using either basically names, which is quite good. If you've got loads of names that will come across the screen, names, or we can use the fobs, or some clubs quite like now we do actually have staff member cards they can swipe, staff cards, and some clubs use pins. I mean, so basically you have options through. Easiest way you can, to be honest, the easiest way you can make it for them to log in, the better. But if they just log in, so when they log in, basically there's your new tool system. Okay. And basically you'll see that there is some different ways of setting the till up here, and you've got your basis. I've got my bar food. Now this way I've got it set up here basically is by the revenue streams departments. There's my bar, there's my food, there's my pro shop, there's my event tickets. Okay. If you want, you can though, if you want, set up slightly different where you have your draft beers, wines, whatever. Really, it depends on how you do it. Most clubs tend to find now, I'm finding now they use these buttons because they have so many different ways they want to analyze the stuff. So they might have bar, food, pro shop, event tickets, whatever down here, and I'll have it through. But again, fully customized, go through. But if I click on my bar, click on my draft beers, there's all my beers there. Okay, if I click on my bar, there's my bottle beers. Okay, there's soft drinks. I'm not a soft drink. Add whatever you want through it. Okay. The reason clubs are doing this bar pit slightly as well is because some clubs like vodka used to be you could just put that in spirits, you just to Smirnoff, but now they've got so many different types of it. So rather than having a spirits with 40 million buttons with spirits, it does give you that option to put, so you see like whiskey and bourbon. And you also see I've got a little button called miscellaneous bar. That just allows me to put any price in for any product I want to put through. Okay, so that's the way the tool looks. Now, back to your products. I put my products here. Click on my layout. Yeah, this is all my layout. Now, what I've then got is I've got these folders. Now, when I'm back, you see I had bottle beers, breakfast, draft beers, whatever. And if I edit those draft beers group, you'll see I've got in here, I've got pint, half pint, shandy, JC lager. Now, that just means if I go back to the till, those folders, I've got those folders, are basically my folders here. The pint, okay. So basically that folder there, I've got draft beers. If I go back to system, back to my layout, is this folder here, where I've created a folder. Okay. Now I've also got another option called down the bottom called groups, where I've got lager as well. I've got a group of just lager in there, just my JC and lager in that. Now that's slightly different. I'll show you how that works, and I've got both of them set up to show you how they work differently. Very similar. If I'll click on edit of that, in there I've got basically the products that I have got. Okay, I will want to put in that group, and I can add products I want to add or whatever. Now to show you how where these two work in the till, if I go back to my tool, yep, and let's look back to my draft beers. You'll see, so when I click on my basically draft beers folder, I've got these items here. But when I go back to this section, when I go to layout and add groups, I have an option I want instead. If I click on there, I can actually have these items here grouped together. So rather than having them laid out as a line like that, I might want to have them with that. Now, I'm not confusing people, just show you all the options available though. So if I do want to change, rather than doing it down that way, I'd rather have my actual products down here. I might have JC, whatever. And the problem with my wines, for example, so you'll see I've got my wines. I've got an option in here. I can either put all the products along, or I can create a folder. If I click on a folder, it will show me the items through. Or what most clubs quite like is instead of that, I've got a group. If I create it as a group, I click on a group, it gives me a drop down. Okay, I just add the bottle. Okay. And that also works, by the way, if I want to do quantities, so I want to do 6 bottles. Okay, adds it through. So you can do quantities on that as well. So it's just to say that that's how you do layout. Now, those groups allow you then to set the till how you wish to set the till. Okay, and if I go back to my layout, okay, what I've got here is I've got the layout now of the till, and you customize the layout for each till. So if you've got a pro shop, you might not want everything bar different. You can customize what you want. But if I edit my till layout, you'll see here, this is my till. And if I go back to my till, you'll see back to my screen. There's my draft beers, bottle beers, whatever. Basically, draft beers, bottle beers, whatever. Okay. There's my one. I've got it slightly different. I've got things at the bottom here. Okay. And if I want to add in groups or folders, I can just select and add them in. But say, main thing I want my draft beers. I don't want that there. I want it down the bottom. But through, just like see, it's changed. If I go just back to one. Okay, you'll see it's moved. Okay, so I've got my draft beers is moved. Okay, so it's down the bottom. Okay, if I want to move. So as I said, whatever you want to move through, put my draft beers back up through. Okay. If I'm no longer, does it automatically through, it moves it away. If I'm no longer doing draft beers, I technically could do that, move that to the bin. Okay. I can also do that if I'm back the screen with my products. It depends to do. If I'm no longer doing pints, I can move it to the bin. Just the exact same way you do it. If you do have it set up like groups here, which is most clubs prefer, I can also click and edit, and I can actually modify what is in that group. So you'll see back to the till. If I click on draft beers, I've got that there. But I decide I want to move that to there, it just moves it. Okay, so as I said, you can do what you like with it. Okay. So it's moved through. So that's how you can do the layouts of the till, and each till will have its own layout. Okay. And as I said, go and help products set through. One wee thing on the products, just while we're on the products and the food, obviously food wise, we mentioned how we did the breakfast type of thing. You'll see in the breakfast here, and we did the own egg, and you'll see again back to where we did the fried, scrambled, whatever. Okay, and you'll see extra black pudding, extra bacon. Now remember I mentioned that item is set for numbers. That's, as I said, if I want, I can add two sausages to that if I want. Okay, it's up to you. I can click on it twice if I want. I mean, so it's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so this is the point. It's up to you if you want to do that. Okay. So as I said, that's all customized when I want to do it. Okay. So as I said, that's the layout, and as I said, the layout can be customized to suit how you want. The other layout as well, one wee thing with layout, handy to know about layouts as well, is because you've got a lot more customization in layout, you'll see, if I do my layout, you'll see here I've got a little thing called Christmas. And what I might do is prepare a sort of Christmas section of what I'm going to do for Christmas. Okay. And you'll see if I go back to my till, I don't have Christmas here, but I've got it all prepped, ready to go. I want to put it on live from the 1st December. I just switch that on, and what you'll see is I now have Christmas. I click on Christmas, that's my Christmas section. So if I've got Christmas or specials, summer special, winter specials, I can turn them off as I want. Okay, as I said, I'm just going over, I know I'm going over quite a lot of this stuff quickly, but just to try and get stuff through. Sort of moving on, the sort of further thing on the till system is the cashiers. Again, slight change of name, cashiers, the system calls them operators. If I click on operators, just cut my Christmas off, operators. Basically, in operators, these are your basic cashiers, your users, and you just edit that, and you can then decide what they can allow to do. And that's what I was saying about how using a card or a login or name. You control what they're allowed to do. Okay. Nothing more complex on that. On the cashier setup, you can control how you've got through. The only thing maybe that comes in a little bit with cards and things through. There is a timekeeping module that can go into the till. I'm not going to go over that because it's a separate system just now, it's aspect now. But basically, simply what it does is it gives the facility that when your staff log in, they can go to the management side and they'll have a timekeeping, and the login basically saying that they are basically the login for the shift. They go for a break, they should log off, log in. So it just gives you a timekeeping and gives you a report. So it's just an option that some clubs like to use. Move on to another wee quick part of the till, which again, this is more operation through, but you can as well configure the system. You can configure tables, and this is where your tables, what you have tables available, and many covers you've got. You'll see what you want, what size of the table is, whatever. Again, not like the old table manager thing we had, and it's just tables. But when you've configured tables, what it does then, if you add in your tables, if I look at this here, and I look at that basically, now you can swipe my card or search. I'm just searched by name, but I can send that, okay, to a table, okay, okay. So okay, and then my table. So I say a table. Sorry, okay, send. Yeah, sorry. What I'll do is I'll send it a tab. You've got an option of tab and tables in the system, just confuse it. Send to a table. I can put that, if I send that to a table instead, okay, you'll find that on my tables now, I've got my table. Tables a bit more. You can assign them to names, whatever. Now, see if I assigned that to names or not a name. So you just swipe a card to assign it to a member or you send a visitor. But a handy wee tool on this is just so you know you can actually move, and I can actually, if I'm moving from the patio into the bar, it moves it. Okay. So if you've got tables and moving tables from outside to inside, you can do that a bit more. Okay. And one wee handy thing, just so for your staff know, is that if I look at Mr. Cardinal and I'm going to buy some more drinks, you see it does actually tell the staff that I have outstanding tabs. Okay, so it's just a prompt to remind people, your staff, that John never paid his tab last night, so he's not got to pay his tabs. Okay. Now, probably for the additions you have on the till system as well, just so you know about them, then you can change them, is basically that I've ran up 3 pints, only wanted 2. And rather than voiding, all basically do is you click on that and you can remove it. Okay, so that takes through. So it's that, so you can remove or change whatever you want. Okay, it's kind of handy that you can just change it. Okay. Go back. So back open back again. Yep, yep. So you can just do that through. So just see that thing through. Okay. Other wee thing as well, just to say, because when you put this is where you have a little bit of thought when you're setting things up. Again, John wants to drop through. I'm leaving. I want to pay for my part. To split the tab, just click on there, split tab. Now you have an option, you can share it. If I share it, I can split it. If I'm there with my wife, I can say I want 3, pay whatever, you can change it. But what you probably more likely use is split it, is say, I'm leaving early, I want to pay for my shandy, pay and leave. Okay, so I know it's not just set up the till, but this does show you how you can actually process that, and I can pay that through. Okay, I can pay it by cash, submit payment, okay, it goes through. And then I can return to the tab and I can pick the next part. So just to say you can split tab through. Other wee thing as well on it. Let's do John's. Let's see if I go and buy my wine. So let's just my wine. I'm going to buy wines. Okay, I'm going to buy. Let's see, I'll buy 10 bottles of Rioja. Okay, I'm going to pay it. You'll see it says basically I don't have insufficient funds. Now you can set this up whether you want to allow it or not to go overdraw. You can set you allow members to overdraw or not. Okay, you can set allow people to get through. Okay, but what I normally want to do though is go in here to go top up. Go top up. John's going to top up £200. Okay, cash. Now, if I've got a clear accept card machine, I click on that, I put the £200 on the card machine automatically. And if that fails, it top up doesn't go through. So it's just that's a handy little addition. But if I do cash, okay, then go back, I've now got money to pay. So I just submit payment through. So it's just to say that's all in there through. Okay, and I can print the receipt as well. Okay. The other thing you want to consider setting up as well on the system is you'll see that when I put this sale through, I've got an option called service charge. Now, to future-proof the system, you have a facility to add a service charge. Okay, and you can set up what the service charge, default service charge is, 10% of it. So back in your settings, you can set what you want the service charge to be. Okay, 10% of it, or you can take it down and modify it. Okay, you can do what you like with it. Okay, not make it device. So just to say, you can add service charges onto it. Okay. As I said, other part as well, when you go to pay when you're putting things through, you can actually click on that and you'll see we've made it nice and simple, basically 1650 through. If you've got credit debit card, just to let you know, you don't have to have it, but if you've got a clear accept card machine, when you click on that submit payment, the 1650 comes up in the card machine. You don't have to put everything through. So as I said, there's a few things there on settings of the till system there. We put through. Okay. So a final part on the system, if I just go back to the system, is in Clavier 1. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. As I said, because it's in Clavier 1, probably the thing in the system that you want to look at looking for is your reports. We are working on putting some more reports in it because it's a slightly different change how reports do. But as I said, I've got my basic reports here. I've got my members business reports where basically I've got my normal sales. So let's look from today. Okay, put some there. So see today, I've got some sales through if I want. So I've spent that today. I can expand it if I want the tags. This is what I'm saying about my tags earlier on, where I've got my bar, my food, my green fees, what was paid by card, what was paid by cash, what was till members. I can download that if I want just through. Do you know what I mean? There's my top ups that I put through today and screen through. What we're looking is trying to get, unfortunately, this I would say the clubs have asked us for, and we're working on it, is to get a report where this is basically these are in one report, which we had before in the old system, which is kind of do, but it's there, it's through. Do you know what I mean? Got my sales reports in here as well. So if I want, I've got my members report. Shows basically through his best spending member will be me, Mr. Burgess yesterday. Through, I mean, I can get a report, the top up history. I know you can get that in Clavier 1 anyway, but just to show you all going through. What was done top ups, what was it done today? I can expand it, drag down and see what done. This is where I see what Purst have done. So you've got all that through. Do you know what I mean? Reports. I've also got some additional reports in here where I can actually look at the transactions as well. So I've got my business reports update. If I want today, update. Yeah. So I've got all my reports in there as well. Just to say we're putting reports in. Yeah, so as I said, they're there for you to pull through. As I said, we've got bad reports. So as I said, it's just a sort of quick overview of how the till system, how you put stuff in, how you put products. We do have a stock control system in there. It's a different module. I think I'll probably doing a separate one on that, on stock control sort of system, go through it, because again it's down on a rabbit hole of things to set up. But basically the stock control system, just think the system is nothing, I say nothing more complicated. It's basically in out, you just have to record the divisions, purchase orders, move stock. Probably the biggest change on the stock system is you can have multiple stock rooms. So if you have a pro shop and you have a bar, you can actually run them as two separate stock rooms, and you can do slight stock takes. When you're doing stock takes, you can do it on certain parts rather than actually doing it on whole parts. If you just wanted to check your bottle beers for something, you could do that. Okay, general stock through. I mean, so you can check different things through. So it's a bit more customizable in that system there. Okay. As I said, main part probably in this sort of thing is to actually add settings, is where you're doing your settings here, is through. Okay, so do we have any queries on the system? Anybody, any questions? Or as I said, if you do need more info on it, those of you that don't have the system, that if we're coming to the new system, what I would suggest is give a bit of a think to your departments, what you want basically to analyse things as bar, event, food, green fees, pro shop, and also a little bit, well, your divisions are normally quite self-explanatory, draft beers, bottle beers, whatever. You see I've got one called Chadwell Food Extras, that's where I've got my extra prices things through. Let's give those a wee bit of a thought. It's a great opportunity to tidy up. What we tend to do is we give you a list of all your old products and give you the option to tidy that up and change all the stuff through it. So as I said, you can do things through it. One other thing just in the setup part that I missed mentioning there was with Clavier 1 with the system as well, use controller of it. You can, if the VAT changes, you can simply change it. Hopefully won't have to do all that rigmarole again. You can do that, but also you can do price changes where you can change prices. And this is probably a good thing where I can log in and I can change the prices on certain things today. Or what I might want to do is create a price event. And I might say I want that to go from the 1st of September to apply these price changes. So for September, create it. Okay. and it'll just ask me to create an event, and I can put certain things in. Do you know what I mean? When I want to go, do I want to apply to every till? Do you know what I mean? So you can do it like what products I want to do it. Do you know what I mean? So just to let you know, it's a handy thing to do. Yeah. Okay. Any other queries on that? Are we all right? As I said, anyone get specific queries can either let me know or. Nope. As I said, you will get a recording of this sent out to you, and then if you've got any queries even after that, you can just let me know, and we can even just arrange a one-to-one just to go over certain aspects of it. Okay.